Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here today. You know, because of what's happening in the news with France, it's hard to talk about any subject without also talking about France. I mean, it's unavoidable, and it has taken center stage and center focus in the news today, the mainstream media and elsewhere. And, you know, I want to come on and I want to talk to you about some things. And I know some of us may have disagreement, and that's okay. And what I may say today, you may not find that you can agree with. I don't know. But I'm going to be truthful as I always am with you. I'm going to give you the truth as I see it, and you can do with that what you will. I wrote an article the other day for The Blaze, basically saying that it's time that we stop accepting Syrian refugees into this country. Now, why did I say that? Based upon information received from France that at least one, if not more, of the attackers came through Greece from Syria, but went through Greece to get over to France and killed people. 129 innocent people who were just enjoying their Friday night, hanging out with their friends, their family, not doing anything to harm other people. Those people are dead because of one known refugee from Syria that came through. So you and I both know out of 1.6 billion Muslims in the world, at least 10%, it's been touted, that at least 10% want to do us harm, that they are the extremists who have decided to follow the Quran to the very letter. Well, after that, after writing my article, and I can tell you pretty much that everybody, almost without question, was in favor of what I was saying. I mean, common sense still exists in the United States, and I'm really glad to see that. Because common sense said, wait a minute, we have an issue here. If even one person came in as a Syrian refugee, and let's face it, we've all seen the pictures of 18-year-old and plus men. Not women, not children, not babies, but 18-year-olds and up, Syrian refugees, males, okay? You know, if you want to say, oh, that doesn't mean anything, or you're just being, politically incorrect, go right ahead. I'm really sick and tired of people looking at something that is so obvious and then just deciding to ignore it because it's not PC. Well, you know what? Go stand in line with the PC people. I'm tired of it. I am tired of our country and every other country being put at risk because you want to have political correctness in your life, those people who do. So if that's who you are, this show is not for you. Just turn it off now. But if we're going to get back to common sense, then let's have a common sense and reasonable conversation. We know that there are known terrorists in the group of those refugees that are coming over, okay? We know that because we have proof of at least one, and trust me, there's more than one. And that one you're being told about, and I'm not even sure you would have been told about that from the United States. And that happened to come from France, I believe. So how many people aren't we being told about that are coming over? And how many people now will it be silenced to tell you? Nobody will tell you the truth because they don't want you to go, oh my gosh, Syrian refugees that are coming over, some of us want to do us harm. No, that might change your opinion about bringing in 85,000 people that we don't know and haven't vetted. And let me just tell you something. We're not vetting these people. The United Nations, they're the ones that are vetting these people. On our State Department website, it says it takes 18 to 24 months to vet someone. It's not taking 18 to 24 months. So we have an issue. Houston, we have a problem, okay? So let's stop pretending that everything is okay. And, I had one or two people claiming to be Christian. And in a lot of respects, I doubt that they are, because you know why? Their talking points were exactly the same. I even received an email from someone. How can you call yourself a Christian when you don't want to allow Syrian refugees in? Let me just respond to that. Here's how I call myself a Christian. I gave to the Nazarene Fund, and if you're not familiar with that, it's from Mercury1.com. And there is a fund set up. Right now it has $12 million in it from people around the world who said, okay, I'm all in because this sounds really good. This sounds like it might work, unlike what's happening with the UN. And that is, they're taking this money, they're going over to Syria. They are vetting people who have been known in the community, in their Christian churches, since they were born practically for some of them. And they're talking and gathering information and vetting these people. And they're Christian. Yes, they're Christian. The ones, that we're not allowing into the United States. They're taking those Christians and they're putting them in other countries that will accept them after they're vetted. And they're not just dumping them and leaving. They're giving extended amount of money so they can learn the new language in the country that they're going to and have money for housing. So Mr. and Ms. Government, pro-government out there who is not able to see anything that the government might be doing that's not in your best interest, if you want to get serious about being a Christian and helping people, then why don't you give to the Nazarene Fund? No, you would rather sit and talk about how somebody else isn't a Christian because you're not allowing people into this country that will do you harm. Because we know there are at least a few that want to do us harm. And I don't know about you. I'm not willing to take the chance. It's not like saying we're inviting in immigrants from other countries that have never done anything to hurt us. Okay, now we're talking about a different story. And then we have to be wise about doing that and how many we take and everything else. We have an American culture here. Slowly but surely, it's being, no, not even slowly, assuredly and quickly, it is being taken away from us while everybody sits and says, oh, well, you don't allow people in, you're not Christian. No, I want to keep my American culture, and I want to invite in those immigrants into our country that are here legally that will not do us harm, okay? If that's not PC enough for you, then so be it. I can't change the way that I feel. I can't change the way that I see common sense reasonableness. Just can't do it. And I'm not going to do it because you want to point fingers and say, oh, well, you're not Christian enough. Because that's the way that it's supposed to get to us. That's the way when we're supposed to go, oh, you're right, I surrender because you've brought out the God card and you've used that against me. Let me tell you something. I've looked in the Bible about in regards to loving your enemy. What does that mean? I can't find any evidence in the Bible where Christ said, turn your back on your enemy and allow them to kill you. Sorry, can't find it. And I'm not a Bible scholar. I don't want to talk for God. I could be totally wrong. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not talking for God. But when I look up things like Matthew 5:44, but I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Okay, I can pray for those Muslims who want to do me harm. I can pray for them. I can pray for the Christians who want to do me harm. I can pray for the Buddhists who want to do me harm. Whoever wants to do me harm, I can pray for you. I can do that. Sometimes it's difficult, but I can do that. It still don't see where it says, let somebody in to do you harm. I don't see that. I see Romans 12:14. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Okay. I can even do that. I can bless them. Still not seeing where I am supposed to allow them to hurt me. or my family. I can go through every single one in here. Romans 12:9. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Okay, I abhor terrorism. When innocent people are killed because of terrorism, I abhor that. I can do that. So if you don't want me to abhor the people because I'm supposed to bless them and pray for them, okay, but I can still abhor terrorism. I'm still not finding where it says that I'm supposed to allow them to come upon me and do me harm willingly. Don't see it. Still don't see it. And even in Psalm 143, an earnest appeal for guidance and deliverance. This is the New King James Version. In the very end, last paragraph, couple of lines. Revive me, O Lord, for your name's sake, for your righteousness' sake. Bring my soul out of trouble. In your mercy, cut off my enemies and destroy all those who afflict my soul, for I am your servant. There again, I didn't see in the Bible anywhere where God says don't use common sense. I just don't see it. And if you want to come and say, well, you're not being Christian, okay, go right ahead. There are other ways to take care of the Syrian refugees. We're doing it by the Nazarene Fund. We're doing it also, we can drop food to those people all day long. We can help them go to another Muslim country. There are Muslim countries over there with the same Muslim culture as the people from Syria that they're not taking anyone. And the progressive left would have you say, well, the only alternative is, you take them in the United States, or you're not Christian and you're not doing the right thing. No, sorry. I don't have to accept what you say are my options, and what you tell the United States is its options. We don't have to take anybody. The other countries don't have to take anybody if they don't want to. Poland has already said, you know what? Forget it. After what happened in France, we're not taking anybody. And the governors of the United States, those, I don't know how many there were, 17 or more, 25 I think was the last count, who said we don't want them here. And then, of course, California was not one of them. California, our governor said, oh, we're going to work with the Obama administration on vetting these people and getting them here. Great for you, Jerry, since this is your last term. Do we see you packing up and leaving California after you invite people in that would do us harm? I mean, I'm sick and tired of it. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm upset today. I've had enough. I've had enough of people who just don't want to use common sense and want me to be as blind. I'm not going to do it. No. The answer is no. And then you have the president who comes out and tells you, oh, you're just being irrational and you're afraid of babies. I'm sorry. I don't recall seeing that many babies in the pictures there of the photos of the 18 and up year old male Syrian refugees coming over. And I heard this morning, only 52% are really coming from Syria. The rest of them are coming from Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places that may want to do us harm. And let's talk about common sense for a moment. And this wasn't really brought up in the news because no, we're too busy, looking at other things, which we should be. But we're also always too busy when it involves something that might make this president look bad. We can't possibly talk about that in the news. Oh no. Only if people don't want to have people here that would potentially do them harm is that newsworthy. But not what the president does. How responsible is it to want to continue with the vetting process and get these people in as quickly as possible when you know what happened in Paris? Nobody's talking about that with this president. And here's the big thing. Right after the attack in Paris, what does Obama do that no one is talking about in the mainstream media? Well, as he always does, he quietly takes a course of action that is, in my opinion, irresponsible. While all of this was going on, he quietly transferred 5 lower-level Yemeni detainees from Guantanamo Bay to the United Arab Emirates. Now, you may say, good, I want him out of Cuba, whatever. What was wrong with them staying in Cuba? Let's say that. And those people that he's let out before, they've always come back to do harm. I mean, go look it up. Find out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. So how long until these 5? And what's with him with 5? You know, it seems like 5 is the magic number. Let's let out 5. Woohoo! And if you go and you look at, which I did, I looked to see who these people were, and their lower level classification overlooks their relationship with the Taliban and other terrorist connections. I mean, really, you're going to sit and lecture us when you do something like that? Again, that no one is talking about because we would not want to make him look bad. We can't possibly do that. And, you know, here's the really absurd thing. Do you know where he wanted to send those Yemeni prisoners? You're probably sitting there going, oh, great, well, it's United Arab Emirates. Who really cares? They're not in the United States. Oh, well, I hate to disappoint you. But his goal was to send them to Colorado Springs, Pueblo area of Colorado. That was his first choice. And you know why he didn't? Thank God for 40 to 60. We don't know the exact number because you know how everybody always gets it wrong in the press. Some say 40, some say 60. 40 to 60 sheriffs stood up and said, no, not here. So, you know, all those people out there who hate the police, you may want to give them a thank you today for saving our butts, at least in Colorado and potentially elsewhere. How long before those people would have, you know, caused terror to occur inside jail cells and before they had others come to take them out, you know, and an attack on the prison and the guards. I mean, who knows? Who knows? And see, this was all being done without anybody in the news reporting on it. Nobody wanted to tell you that your president wanted to bring 5 people over. You know, if they were so lower level, what were they doing being detained in Guantanamo Bay in the first place and for all these years? Why didn't you let them go years ago? Why didn't you send them back to where they came from? Why? It's like Jerry Brown, governor of California, and his low-level criminals that he's allowed out. And look at all the crime and the crime rate and the people, the woman who died on the pier in San Francisco in front of her father from probably, you know, potentially lower-level criminals. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You know, stop believing the lies. It's progressive lies that they want you to believe things that are simply not true. We have got to get back to common sense. You know, and thank God for the governors. I don't care if the governors have the ability to stop or not those refugees coming here. Thank God they stood up and they made the public aware enough for the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, to say, well, let's take a pause. Well, no, Paul, let's not take a pause. Let's terminate this deal. Now, this pause better go on for years because here's what we know, Paul. What we know is that according to the State Department, it takes 18 to 24 months to vet someone. So if you want to take a pause for a day, a week, a month, that's not long enough, okay? The American people aren't that stupid. We're tired of it. You know, I've heard over and over, we don't work for them, they work for us. Do they? Because I don't think so. From what I see and what I've seen for the last 6.5 years, they're telling us what to do, and we're the ones sitting back going, oh, God, I hope this isn't really bad. Oh, God, I hope this doesn't turn out awful. Oh, God, you know, whatever. And we sit there, and even when we vote people out, we still don't get the upper hand. Because why? Everybody's in everybody else's pocket. Everybody is sold out for the most part. There are one or two people left that actually, I think, care about this country and where we're going. And there may be more than one or two. But I think the majority really has sold out. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. Please show me examples of where I'm wrong. I really want to see them. I do. Because, I'm worried about this country, and I think most of you out there are worried about this country as well. We continue to see more and more where our rights are taken away from us, where our voices are not listened to, and where people in the government do things to us that are, quote unquote, in our best interests. I'm tired of it. I've said over and over, we need to vote these people out in the lower levels, in the city council and, county positions, whatever. You can never allow these people to get to the top. Because when they get to the top, by the time they get there, they're pretty much, it's like children growing up. When they get to a certain age, their personalities are already formed. And it's too late to change that personality. Well, with a career politician that has gone astray, it's pretty much too hard in most cases, to change that person back to a decent politician. And some people I know are out there shaking their heads and going, there is no such thing as a decent politician. Those words do not go together. I understand what you're saying, but there are decent people. I really think people like Ted Cruz, they're decent people. And as much as people don't like Donald Trump in some ways for whatever he does, I really think he's a decent human being. So, I think Ben Carson is a decent human being. I just don't know that he actually has the ability to express himself the way that is necessary today, right now, with all the stuff going on. I think he would be great as a cabinet member. I really do. He's an intelligent man. I think his heart's in the right place. But some of the things that he said, I don't think the American people have the patience for him to get it right and to say it right. I really don't. And Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, they don't have a problem getting it out there. You may not agree with it, but at least they have an opinion. And they try to stick by what they say they will do. I mean, as far as Ted Cruz, he's never gone back on a promise that I'm aware of. But what's going to happen with Ted Cruz? Well, I read that people are really going to start scrutinizing whether he and Marco Rubio are really citizens in the terms of being allowed to be the president of the United States. It's funny, I never heard any of this talk with John McCain, who was not born on American soil. And I never heard that with Barack Obama, who knows what was really the case with him. But, when you can't produce a birth certificate and you're not willing to talk about it, don't you think, regardless of your thoughts one way or the other, that he should have been vetted? But, no, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend all of our time not worried about the Syrian refugees coming in and other terrorists coming across our borders. Because let's face it, it's not just the Syrian refugees. Our borders are wide open. God only knows who's coming across them. We already know that there are 1,000 open investigations right now. This is what we've been told by FBI, that there's 1,000 investigations going on right now in the United States for potential terrorist issues. But two people that obviously have parents who were born, in the United States who are American citizens, we can't possibly do anything but vet those people. The laws have changed about that, what a natural born citizen is. And again, if you want to look at it, John McCain, he wasn't born on American soil. Come on. But so we're going to allow the knowledge that we have 1,000 investigations open cause us to go, not important. Let's just focus on Cruz and Rubio. Let's just waste our time over here. Let's just cause another distraction. We have so much going on. I mean, it according to reports, too, a senior Iraqi intelligence officer claims that the members of the U.S.-led coalitions were warned a day ahead of the attacks in Paris that the Islamic State terrorist assaults were imminent. Now, and then somebody else said, yeah, well, we're always getting those. No big deal. Everybody gets them. And, could have just been just another false alarm. Well, what happened with that information? Was that information turned over to France, to the other coalition members? I doubt very seriously. And what are we doing here? Well, we have Obama who met with Putin at the G20. So, and in regards to terrorism, how we're going to take care of this. And I think Turkey may have been included in the conversation. And who knows who else? Anybody else who likes basketball or golf probably came in there too. But my point is, here we have what used to be the leader of the free world and the greatest country in the world going in to meet with Putin. Why? Because you need to ask his permission. You need to get his expertise. What was that all about? Why do you need to do that? You didn't go in there to tell Putin what you were going to do. You went in there to say, gosh, what do we do, Putin? What? Come on, tell us, because I really don't know, and I'm not going to the White House briefings. I don't do those. They're kind of beneath me. I would rather hear them on the news after the fact than go to the White House security meetings that go on every day that I don't attend every day. But I can go out and criticize the American public because they're not acting rash. Kind of like the cops are acting stupidly when they weren't, things like that. It's okay that he makes rash decisions, but any reasonable decisions that Americans make are automatically just considered rash and irrational. Well, no, that might be your point of view, but that is not the case. Americans are trying to be prudent. Americans are trying to do the right thing. And Americans have always been charitable. They've always helped others, but they don't want to be stupid, see? They don't want to be taken advantage of. They don't want to be so quick and so taken in by the argument, oh, you're not being Christian, that they take their eyes off of the focus, which is these people do kill people, and therefore we're not going to be stupid and rush into things so the same thing can happen to us. People, I'm telling you that, if you're of that opinion, that you listen to the president and you believe everything that he says that comes out of his mouth and follow along, you may be very disappointed. And it's like I had a guest on just last week who no PC, man. He just told the truth and told it like it is. And he said, and I'm not going to quote him, I'm not going to get his words exactly right, but he said basically, Obama's got like a year left. And if you think what has happened so far is bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. All hell is going to break loose because nobody is stopping him. Everybody just sits around and goes, gosh, I wish you wouldn't do that. Oh, wow, there's another bad decision. Oh, what's happening? Okay, keep saying that and keep saying, well, we can't impeach him because that means we get Joe Biden. Well, you know what? Just because we would get Joe Biden doesn't mean that the person that we have in now as a president doesn't need to be impeached. And I think that's a decision that, the American people would have to make. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to want to make that decision. I really don't. I think if all hell broke loose right in front of them because of something that the president did, they would still not choose to impeach him because they wouldn't want to look bad. Oh, we can't do that. What would that make us look like? He's the first black president. We can't impeach him. Gosh, that would go down in history as being horrible. Well, you know what? I'd rather there be a history to go down than no history at all. I mean, I don't know where this country is going, but it's not going in a good place. And I would love to have an American culture at some point that I can turn to and say, wow, we went through all this, we made it, and we still have our culture intact. I don't know what's going to happen if we keep going down this same path. I think most of us are aware it's not a good path, and we've called on Congress to help us, and we have Paul Ryan so far going, okay, we're going to take a pause. We're going to take a pause. It's probably better than what we would have gotten with John Boehner. John Boehner would have said, okay, everyone, let's not be rash. He would have been right there carrying the water for this president. So we at least got a pause. But I don't trust Paul Ryan any more than I trusted John Boehner. I think this is just a way to sort of politically save face so that you have an opportunity to perhaps win the White House in the next election as the GOP. And then as we go on down the road and the president assures Paul Ryan that everything is going to be okay, look for him to let off that pause and press start again. I hope not, but I simply just don't have faith in most of the people in our administration, Congress today. I just don't. It's been far too long where they say they're going to do something and they just simply don't do it. If you have more faith in them than I do, then go for it. I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. And while we're talking about all this, I think it goes back to people continue to ask, if we knew where everybody was over there in Syria, where the ISIS oil tankers were, where, all these strategic sites were, which we did. We know exactly where they were. Why did we wait so long? Why did we wait for an attack on Paris before we went in and destroyed those places? I mean, why? Why didn't Russia go in? If we didn't want to go in, why didn't Russia? Why do we allow them to just hang around and do their damage? Why did we have to wait for an attack to say, okay, enough is enough? It just doesn't make sense. And now that France has gone in, not us, well, I think we went in and helped. Okay. But it sounds like, even in the mainstream media at least, we're allowing France to have taken the lead and France to say, we've done this and we've done that. And if that's true, why is France now out there saying, okay, we want a coalition of all of these countries, to come together. Let's go in and defeat ISIS. Hello, United States, where are you? Where's the leader of the free world? Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's ridiculous. And what are we all going to do? Get behind Putin? Is this where we've come to now? We're going to have the United States follow the lead of Putin. He's already told us in the very beginning of all this, get out, let me handle it. And we're still at odds with Putin, or so it's being touted in the news this way. They want Assad in. We want Assad out. Where is this going to go? How do we peacefully resolve all of this? And, you have Mark Levin coming out and saying World War III started. Well, you've got so many conflicting ideas over there with so many conflicting goals. How could he be wrong about that? And then you have John Kerry coming out and saying, a ceasefire in Syria is potentially weeks away. How did you arrive at that, John? Did you ask Putin for permission to say that? Did you ask France if they will be finished with what they're doing? But according to Kerry, he said that the ceasefire envisioned by the political process, there you go, by the political process, agreed in Vienna on Saturday, would exponentially help efforts to fight the Islamic State group. What? And then he went on to say, and I'm going to use probably the way Kerry would have said it, if we can get that done, that opens up the aperture for a whole bunch of things. We're weeks away, conceivably, from the possibility of a big transition for Syria. And I don't think enough people necessarily notice that. But that's the reality. Oh, my gosh. Is that big transition kind of like a transformation that we've done in America? Can't wait. He said, we're not talking about months. We're talking about weeks, hopefully. Well, how long have you been sitting over there in Syria not really doing anything, John? Maybe a couple of bombs dropped every now and then, not taking it seriously to get rid of those people. So now what are you going to do? And then now Saudi Arabia is expected to host a meeting of Syrian opposition figures by mid-December, at which they are to agree on a delegation to send to talks with representatives from President Assad's government. Oh my gosh, this ought to be fun. I wonder if they're going to invite Israel to those talks. I don't know. These people just seem so out of touch with reality. It's not even funny anymore. I mean, it really isn't. I don't know if they've just been outside of the United States for so long, or they've just been living in Washington, D.C. for so long. I don't know what it is. I don't really care. But, all you had to do yesterday is listen to the stadium where they were playing in soccer, Turkey and somebody else. I don't even know. Don't even care. But when they're sitting there, they're trying to have a tribute to the Parisians that have died. And what do you get? You get the majority of the stadium booing the moment of silence with Allahu Akbar being said, chanted afterwards. Oh yeah, let's turn the other cheek, Christians, and allow those people in because they won't do you harm. So for all those Christians out there who doubted everything, why don't you go over and extend a sign of peace? And I'm sure it'll work really well. Tell those people traveling on Air France the other night that had to be diverted because of bomb threats. I don't know if extending the olive branch is going to help in something like that. Wake up. Wake up. There are people out there who are trying to do us harm and the rest of the world harm. Don't be naive anymore. We don't have time for that. We're past time of being naive and hoping that we can just coexist. It doesn't work. I don't care how nice you are, how peace-loving you are, and how Christian you are. You cannot coexist with people whose number one goal is to kill you. Sorry, it doesn't work. But France, who continues to take this seriously, reported at the time of this Knowles on the News report, 2 are dead, 7 arrested in raid targeting Paris attack mastermind. Again, at least France is taking this seriously and moving ahead to get rid of those people who have proven themselves to be the enemy of France. But it was hard over the weekend to watch them in there laying flowers down and candles and then have some noise in the crowd go off that sent everybody running for the hills. And I know some people may say, well, they sat there and they said, we're not afraid, and here they are running. But I think you can't judge people like that because given the same set of circumstances, you may have done the very same thing. I think after what happened, people would have been running no matter who they were just to get out of a potential harm's way that they thought was occurring. So it'll be interesting to see if the people of France can get back to any semblance of life as it was before. I do have my doubts because you and I remember how difficult it was following 9/11. It took years, really, to get back to some semblance, and we really never returned where we were pre-9/11. It's really hard at this point in time with so many things happening to really look at anything else in the news because everything else just pales in comparison. All the PC stuff that we see every day from, the University of Missouri not liking attention taken off of them and saying such vile things against France because of the attention being taken off of them and placed on France. It was so just disgusting to see. And when I look at something now with the same type of rhetoric, I don't even want to look at it. It's like taking something that's so serious and just discounting it in favor of something that's so ridiculous and so PC and so not even really a lot of student protesters, but just people like different groups that really want to spread hate, just continuing that. And I really do. My guest last week, I keep thinking about this show, He has a new book coming out on the 24th called The Antidote, and it's all about the issues in the black community, things like this University of Missouri. And again, he really just told it like it is, no PC. And it was so refreshing, in this day and age of what's happening. It was so refreshing just to hear somebody give the truth, their understanding of the truth, without sitting there and being caught up in all the progressive lies. I mean, it was really, really nice. I really loved his book. I do recommend it. He has so many stories in there about people that you and I know, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Farrakhan, all of these people, and his interactions with some of them. And you can go to my website at susanknowles.com and just look for that show the other day. There's a Spreaker app on there that you can just press on that and you can hear that show. It's really worth your while, and you should really let everybody hear that. I mean, you will just be glad that you listened to it, because it's so refreshing. It's kind of like hearing a voice in the wilderness, a clarity for once. It's been so long since we've been able to hear that and go, wow, I used to hear people talk like that and tell the truth, and it's been so long. And to hear that again, it's like it gives you hope that we might actually someday soon, hopefully, return to a time where we could just be open and honest. I mean, I don't know about you, and I know most of you probably feel the same way I do. I am so sick of political correctness, because the only thing that it ever wanted to do was to shut us down, to shut us up, and it's done a great job. And because we have sat here and been so silent and not said anything, spoken up, look at where we are. Did that all happen because we didn't say anything? No, but a lot of it did. Because we sat there, we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, we wanted to coexist. We, as Americans and those on the right, we love people. We are passionate about people. We are compassionate about people. We love others. We don't want to do any harm to them. And we care about every one of our brothers and sisters. We really do. We don't wish anybody harm or ill will. We don't. The only time, we will defend ourselves. We're not going to allow people to harm us. We're not going to willingly sit around like sitting ducks and wait for somebody to come and harm us. It's not the way we're taught. It's not biblical, and we're not going to do it. And we need to get back to those rational, common sense days where two reasonable people could just sit down and have a conversation and work things out. We don't have to have the racial strife, all of this talk about how much we hate each other. We don't. This is something that the progressives are trying to make you and me believe because they have an agenda. Don't get caught up in it. Don't hate people. I know you don't. Don't believe the lies. As I talked with my guests, I grew up in the South. I grew up in a time of racial strife. My gosh. I couldn't go to school without chairs being thrown over my head and at me in the lunchroom. Girls' hair was being set on fire as they walked down the hall. Every day was like wondering who was going to try to hurt you the next day. And as white people sitting there in school, we didn't know why the black people were so angry at us. We honestly didn't. I mean, maybe some people did. I was raised in a family. My family didn't hate. They taught me not to hate. So my parents didn't sit there and say disparaging words about any race. So we had no clue as to why these people hated us so much. And yet, it didn't change me. It didn't change me as a person to hate people of a particular race. Why? Because my parents had God in their lives. My parents taught us to love one another and to judge the person based upon how they treated you and others, called character. So don't get caught up in the lies that it's this group or that group. It really isn't about a group. It's about a person. Each individual person and how they treat you. And if one person wants to do you harm, that's enough to look at a group and decide, is everybody like that? You don't know. And you have to learn whether or not they are like that. I can tell you with people in the United States, if you're looking at a group, then you're probably doing it wrong, okay? Because not every group believes what the individuals in that group believe. As with people like the Syrian refugees, we don't know enough to know that. We really don't. Are there good Muslims and people who believe in Islam? Yes. I don't know who those are in Syria, and I'm not willing to take a chance, and most Americans are not. Let's not compare apples and oranges, because I can hear the left right now saying, well, that's the way you're doing with Syria. No, not the same thing. Again, common sense has to play in there. Let's not forget common sense and reasonableness. It has to go into every equation, okay? So let's not get off track there. But let's stop believing the lies that we're being told, and told that we're bigots or this or that because of the way we feel. No. You know who you are. You know what you've been taught. You know the biblical principles that you've been taught. Do not let people in this spiritual warfare that we find ourselves in, do not let them talk you out of what you know to be true. You know who God is. You know the principles of the Bible. Don't let people try to interpret the Bible for you to fit their agenda. Don't let them do it. I don't care. You know, today some of our pastors are even very disappointing in the things that they have said, because they're going either they're not mentioning the entire Bible, they're mentioning only part of it, the part that they want you to hear, or they're leading their flock astray. You have to be careful. God never said that the pastors, the priests, or anyone else is God. They're supposed to guide you, and even in the Bible it says if those people turn individuals against God, then, watch out, basically. So God knew that they're human beings, that they are going to sin just like other human beings, and you can't put 100% faith in any man. You just cannot do it. You can only put 100% faith in God. So you have to remember that. Don't be talked out of the biblical principles that you know. And if you're unsure about them because of what a pastor has said or somebody else, go look it up. Go talk to somebody else that you trust who's a Christian. Go talk to another pastor, if need be, and ask them what they think. But don't sit there and just take somebody's word for it. You're going to have to, all of us, in the times that we're in right now, you're going to have to do things that you've never done before. You're going to have to become involved. You're going to have to understand what's going on. You're going to have to draw closer to God. You're going to have to serve your fellow man more than you ever thought you would ever have to do. Because that's the time we live in right now. And the times are going to get worse. The agendas are going to get worse. They really are. And if you get caught up in what people are saying and what's going on, then you're going to be sucked into it. You can't do that. If you want to live your life as what God wanted us Christians to do, you're going to have to keep your focus on God. And that doesn't mean that you have to sit around and be a doormat. Too many Christians have said, wow, when you speak out like that, where's the God and all that? Where is the God in sitting there, letting yourself be a doormat to everybody else and accepting what comes to you without speaking out, without doing something about it? What about speaking out for your fellow man? Are you not going to take up for your neighbor if the neighbor needs you? Is that what you're supposed to say silent and do that too? Nobody talks about that. Nobody says, well, defend your neighbor. Well, God did that a lot, didn't he? He served man and he served his neighbor. So let's do that, and don't worry about people saying, well, you're speaking out. You should speak out. There's nothing in the Bible that says that you shouldn't speak out. Again, you can't allow other people to interpret for you what the Bible says. You and God have to talk about that together. You and other Christians need to talk about that, and you and perhaps your pastor, your priest, need to talk about that. But don't sit and believe the progressives, whether on the left or on the right. They're not God. They're not the final authority. Don't listen to them. Please get out of this believing everything you hear and not thinking it through. We have to start thinking again. I know in our schools, they don't want us to think. They want you just to blindly, pick up a manual, believe everything that you read in there in the government manual, and move forward with it. Don't ask questions. No, no, no. We need to get back to asking questions. Questions are important, and the answers are just as important. If something doesn't feel right to you, it's probably because it isn't. Or it's because you haven't done enough research yet. Whatever the case may be, turn off the TV. Quit watching whatever show is taking up your time. It's too imperative that if you're saying, I don't have enough time, and you're sitting in front of the TV, then obviously you do have enough time to do your own research, to prepare your family spiritually for what may lie ahead with us, and in this country and in the world. I'm not the only one sitting here talking about the economy or anything else that might be happening. You need to listen to those people, pray about it, make your own decisions. But we've got to get back in the game. We've got to get back in the game. And with the upcoming elections, is one person going to save us? Absolutely not. I don't care who that person is. We're going to have to become active again in who we elect, what our government does, going out and making enough noise, whether it's signing petitions or going out and peacefully walking in a protest that you've gotten permits for to do. You can't just get out there and break the law like others have done in the past. But you have to peacefully get out there and hold your signs and protest and tell our government you're not in agreement with what they're doing. And all of us really need to start speaking up. You can't just sit and allow a few people to speak for you. You've got a dog in the fight. You really do. This is your life, your children's lives, your grandchildren's lives, just like everyone else. And you need to be a part of what's going on. You honestly do. And I think, again, most of us out there are really active, really know what time it is and what needs to be done, and people are doing it. And again, we are law-abiding citizens. We always have been. We always will be. And we have good morals that we live by. We help our fellow man and woman. We always have, and we always will. As I said before, don't let people make you into someone that you're not, or convince you that you should do something when clearly you know that is not the case. And, there's going to be a lot more going on in Syria, too, because, Russia has just found out that there was a bomb that was placed on the airplane, the Russian airplane from Egypt, that got shot down. And Russia's not going to sit quietly by without going in and attacking those same people that killed his people. So, things are going to get tougher, really. And we're going to see where we're going to have more pressure on us to take more people. It's the perfect time. It's what this administration always does. When we're busy with something else, he always moves in and subtly changes things before we even know what hits us. I mean, look at Bobby Jindal down in the governor of Louisiana. He got all those people in. What was it, like 10,000 Syrian refugees just dumped on his state without even a word that they were there. And, he demanded to know more information on them. I mean, do you think the president really cares what Bobby Jindal wants or anybody else? He doesn't. And then almost like the very next day, Bobby Jindal says, I'm withdrawing from the race. I think he knows, number one, that the people of Louisiana were kind of upset with him, probably taking time away from his governor duties to run for president, so they weren't very happy about that. And then you have his state now bombarded with potentially 10,000 refugees from Syria that he knows nothing about, and he's concerned on how to protect his state. And again, it wouldn't surprise me that, the Obama administration just goes, okay, well, we've got Bobby Jindal who's pretty busy over here. He's not even going to notice. Let's just dump some people, right into his state, Louisiana. He won't notice. But why he didn't dump some people into Jeb's state of Florida, maybe he's more concerned that the Bushes would realize something that was going on quicker than Jindal would. I don't know. But in any event, he's out of the race. He's gone. A conservative governor that had a lot of great ideas is no more. And what this really shows you, too, is you always have to keep your eye on what's going on. Because whenever there's a crisis, there's always something going on in this administration behind the scenes. Now, it's hard to know what that is because we don't have a lot of information, and you may not find out that information until after the fact. But you can be assured something is going on. The Saul Alinsky book, Don't Ever Let a Good Crisis Go to Waste. I mean, you're just going to always know that there's a potential out there for what this administration is doing to do something that you're not going to like. So as they say, keep your eye on the prize. Because we've known for the last 6.5 years that this happens almost every time. And it's still going on. Still other things are happening. God only knows what they're planning that we don't know about. And that's why you really need to be focused on God first, and then don't take your eye off of what's happening. And I know, again, I've said this 1,000 times, I know everybody's busy, but I think your children and grandchildren are worth a little bit of your time and effort outside of your job in doing what you have to do to keep vigilant, to be prepared in the times that we find ourselves in. And true to form, as even as I do this, here we have some Republicans and Democrats have joined together and liken the United States, the Americans here that don't want the Syrian refugees to come here, as people are being killed by them in Paris, as to those people who turned away Jews. First of all, you want to always compare apples and oranges if you're on the progressive side. Now, whether you're Democrat or Republican, if you're progressive, you compare apples to oranges. The Jews were not terrorists. The Jews didn't try to kill us. Here, let me remind you, Democrats and Republicans who are saying this, it was the Germans who were killing the Jews. And when the Jews fled, there wasn't a terrorist among them that was ever in recorded history. So, you know what? You can keep your argument. Don't want to hear it. Don't even want to waste my time on it. You're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All these same progressives come out each and every time to try to make you feel bad because you made the right decision for yourself, for your family, and for your fellow Americans. Don't buy it. Don't get involved in it. Don't believe 2 seconds of what they're saying. And when you get an opportunity, vote these people out. I mean, these people are right there with all the others who are trying to take down America and make it less than. I mean, they really are succeeding. They really, really are succeeding. Because people aren't speaking up and speaking out and saying enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore, and we're not going to buy your bull. Speak up. Speak out against these people. Are you going to be called politically incorrect? Yes, you will be. Are you going to not be liked? It's going to happen. But the bigger picture here is we have a much bigger problem, and people are trying to keep you not focused on the serious issues. And remember, when you're given options by these progressives, you have to tell yourself that there are more options than the two they are giving you. But they don't want you to think that. They want you to think that it's always a black and white issue and that they have the answers. Here they are, and you only have two choices. It's a lie. It's another progressive lie that you cannot allow yourself to buy into. Stay vigilant. Stay wise. Stay well-versed in biblical principles. Stay focused on God so that you won't be fooled by what is going on. It's high time that we Americans put our feet planted squarely on the ground and move ahead as we know that we're doing the right thing. We know that we are great Americans in a great country, and we don't want to lose what we have. We have a strong American culture that is being destroyed, and we need to bring that American culture back. There is nothing shameful about being an American, and you must remember that. Don't stray from that. I thank you so much for being here today. God be with you. God bless you. God keep you safe. Never be ashamed of being an American. Till next time, Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News.